I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. The Catholic Church is richer 6 times over as Pope Benedict has created 6 new cardinals, calling on men from 4 continents and recalling that Christ's mission transcends all boundaries. The Holy Father presented the gold ring and the red hat to an American archbishop, the patriarch of Lebanon's Maronite Church, the head of the Syro-Malankara Church in India, as well as archbishops from Nigeria, Colombia, and the Philippines. Benedict said he wanted to highlight the fact that the church is the church of all peoples. The new cardinals approached the Pope as he sat before the main altar of St. Peter's Basilica. The scarlet red of their headwear and robes symbolizes the blood they are willing to shed in service to the church. Now, following Saturday's ceremonies, the College of Cardinals has 211 members. 120 of them are under the age of 80 and are therefore eligible to vote for the next pope. Europeans make up 51% of the electors, although only 24% of the world's Catholics live there. Asian electors stand at 9%. Catholics in Asia make up more than 10% of the Catholic population worldwide, and they are especially proud of Cardinal Luis Tagle of the Philippines. He is 55 years old and becomes the second youngest member of the College of Cardinals. Hundreds of pilgrims from his diocese of Manila traveled to Rome to support their leader's new status. As the Pope presented him with his ring and hat, Cardinal Tagle was moved by the emotion of the moment, and he shed a tear. Later, he explained why.
I cry easily, and I guess when you are before a great mystery, that is beyond you, a calling, a grace, a mission, then you tremble, but at the same time you're happy.
Cardinal Clemis of India joined with his brother bishops and the 5 other new cardinals for a reception at the Apostolic Palace. Inside the ornate ducal hall, they greeted friends, colleagues, and pilgrims for more than 2 hours. The newest American cardinal, James Michael Harvey, has also been named the Archpriest of the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls. As Archpriest, Cardinal Harvey is the supervisor of St. Paul's. The basilica is one of just 4 major basilicas in the world. All are located in Rome. Cardinal Harvey was born in Milwaukee. He had served as head of the papal household. He received the news of his new honor on Friday. The same day, the Holy Father met with the president of Lebanon, Michel Suleiman. The president led a delegation of 500 Lebanese pilgrims to Rome for the elevation of Cardinal Rai, their countrymen, and the Maronite patriarch. The Pope visited Lebanon 2 months ago. Friday's meeting with Minister Suleiman occurred as the Holy Father was issuing his call for a halt in hostilities between Israel and Hamas. Representatives from both sides of that fighting are in Cairo meeting with Egyptians to resolve so-called sticking points and complete arrangements for the ceasefire. Under discussion, border crossings and the economic blockade of Gaza. Meantime, all is not peaceful in Cairo. A grab for power by Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi has touched off days of violent protests. CNN's Reza Sayah is there on the streets.
We keep seeing these clashes between protesters and police. Protesters throwing rocks at police. Police responding by firing tear gas and stun grenades. We're just a few blocks away from Tahrir Square. We should point out most of these protesters are young men, 20-something teenagers. Hard to say if they're here fighting for democracy or here to cause some trouble. Those were chants of down with President Morsi, down with President Morsi. We're now starting to see these protests and clashes take place in cities outside of Cairo. According to the Interior Minister, during the overnight hours, protesters tried to attack the offices of the Muslim Brotherhood in the northern city of Damanhur. This is some of the violence that's taking place. Let's go to Tahrir Square where things are a little bit more peaceful. Things much calmer here in Tahrir Square, where you have a few thousand people gathered here, about 40 tents, very much reminiscent of the 2011 Egyptian revolution. You have food stands, people selling tea. Here's a tea stand right here, and lots of people talking politics. If you look at these groups here, these are all people that are debating their political positions and demanding that Mr. Morsi rescind his controversial decrees.
Yeah, to start with, I want these decrees to be withdrawn, and secondly, I would hope that he starts to listen to the rest of the people.
I am willing to stay until we oust him, just like we did with Mubarak. And we're going to oust him. And he's bringing it down upon himself.
On Sunday, factions opposed to Mr. Morsi continue to make moves to apply political pressure on the president. Egyptian Nobel laureate and pro-democracy activist Mohammed El Baradei calling on Mr. Morsi to rescind his decrees. On Saturday, you'll recall, a judges group calling for a nationwide judges strike. It's not clear how many judges are going to heed that call, because remember, a lot of judges here in Egypt support Mr. Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood, and so do a lot of Egyptians. Supporters of Muslim Brotherhood have called for demonstrations throughout the next few days, and that's why there's a lot of drama that comes with these developments. You have Mr. Morsi seemingly entrenched in power, the Muslim Brotherhood movement taking on opposing factions who are mobilizing, demanding for him to rescind his decrees.
CNN's Reza Sayah in Cairo. Meantime, Israeli military satellites show Iran rearming Hamas terrorists. The new arms shipments include the longer-range rockets that were fired at Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. No public reaction from either Israel or the United States. Up next, looters strike in Queens on Thanksgiving, as Currents continues after the break. Welcome back. It was 4 weeks ago today, Hurricane Sandy assaulted us with the winds, water, and fire of a superstorm. Since then, Breezy Point, Queens has been struggling to survive. More than 100 homes burned to the ground, and looters continue to ravage the neighborhood. At least 65 incidents have been reported so far, while a year ago only 4 homes were robbed during the same period. Police are trying to restore order and security, assigning more mobile patrols and floodlights to the area. The disaster hit with the same force elsewhere in the Rockaways. On Thanksgiving, Bishop DiMarzio celebrated Mass for the people in another Queens neighborhood.
Today we're here at St. Rose of Lima in Rockaway for Mass because this is one of the areas very hard hit. We still don't have electricity or heat in the church, but I wanted to be with these people today because they continue to be suffering. And on a day like Thanksgiving, we have to have a spiritual sense, and at the same time try to help people, alleviate the suffering, but we can't curse the darkness. We have to light a candle.
Financially, we've taken a hit because the attendance has been lower than usual. People are not sometimes even in the neighborhood anymore. They've gone to live with relatives or try to find another place to live.
Over 150 houses were just burnt to the ground, and these are people that have been a part of my life. So it's huge, but it also is humbling, and it is something that you realize, like life can be short and could be gone at any moment, and you do what you can, and you accept the graces that God gives you, and you just pick up and you go with the pieces and you say, all right, Lord, you woke me up, you gave me another day, and we're here to help, and we do what we have to do.
I was displaced, and 3 times I went from here to Howard Beach, and from Howard Beach they got flooded out to Woodhaven, and from Woodhaven we lost heat and hot water in the building, so I just said, okay, I went to the mountain. I went upstate. I said, okay, God, I'm going into nature again, you know. And, you know, it was a good thing because I really felt my soul become peaceful through all this havoc and catastrophe.
Despite everything else that was going on, people found their way to the church.
Everyone's there for one another, more than any outsider. The community's taking care of one another, neighbors, sharing water, sharing food, doing each other's laundry when they can, just helping clean out houses and rebuild one step at a time. It's very humbling.
Still a lot of help needed, and it's going to take a long, long time, and I just fear that the neighborhood will never be the way it was.
It's devastating, you know, and I just hope everybody goes back to their roots with God and makes a stronger relationship and bonds with Him more, you know, really go into their heart and bond with the Lord again to really, you know, say they trust in Him.
People have not abandoned their faith. They find it difficult, obviously, to to live in these conditions. But let's hope that in the near future we will have the restoration of power here that will make life more or less normal.
And as Bishop DiMarzio pointed out, recovery is far from complete. So many people still need help. And a local organization, along with an assist from the student athletes of St. John's University, responded.
Today we're at St. John's Bread and Life, and today we're doing our Thanksgiving meal, serving over 2,200 meals of Thanksgiving, turkey, trimmings, and cranberry sauce and all that.
The Thanksgiving meal, this is the most important meal of the year because it reminds us all that you have to be thankful for everything that you receive. If you don't be thankful, then you won't receive.
Thanksgiving in general to me means communion with others, and you have to give thanks, and you also have to remind yourself to humble yourself down to remain thankful for the things that we're able to run into.
The difference between this and a typical day is that we're only serving food today. On a typical day, we do about approximately 4,000 meals. That's an uptick of about 2,000 because we do hurricane relief. We provide various social services. We have medical services. We have a food pantry, legal services, immigration services.
Today is very special because we're out here for Hurricane Sandy relief, and there's people who don't have food. So I feel like it's very important that we come together as a community and serve people who are in need.
We have our student athletes here today from our golf team, our track team, our lacrosse team, and our women's volleyball team. And it's a great lesson for life. It's the laboratory of life.
Our students are very engaged in community service, and this is just another one of the things that they do to help give back to the community.
This is about tradition, this is about giving back, and this is about, loving your fellow man.
It means a lot of thanks because we need it, and after the disaster, everybody needs it.
In this neighborhood in Bedford-Stuyvesant, we've seen an uptick in the amount of people receiving our services because they've been displaced because of the hurricane and are residing here with friends and family.
This part of Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy, as you see, relatively nothing happened to it. But then you hear about Red Hook, you hear about Staten Island, I just had to really think about the problems that I do have, but in retrospect, looking back at what people was going through, I got to count my blessings. That's all I can say.
Right now I'm homeless on the street. Where I was staying at, the house was, torn up, and I had to leave. It was unfortunate. For a lot of people, it lost their homes and jobs at the same time.
Just to know that people from Sandy don't really have a chance to, enjoy like a full feast like they used to, it means a lot to be able to come out here and help them out with that.
One of the things I always say, these are the last, the lost, and the least who are being fed. And it's a good eye-opener for people to see, especially this Thanksgiving with the effects of the hurricane, that to help people like this. And they are most appreciative and thankful for all the care and love.
Well, the character of Thanksgiving Day may be changing, and for the worse. This year, many stores opened their doors on the holiday, hoping to lure even more bargain-hunting shoppers. The priest who moderates the Catholic Labor Network says that's an assault on the family, creating two classes of workers, those with their families and those forced to work and be apart from their loved ones. Cardinal Dolan is also critical of the new phenomenon, saying it values stuff over people. Next on Currents, after Sandy, saving the animals. Details after the break. Welcome back. The recovery from Hurricane Sandy is a slow and arduous process. Federal money is now available for New York to hire 5,000 people to help with the task. The $27 million effort is being described as neighbor helping neighbor. Meantime, people helping our best friends, our pets, are behind the rescue efforts of a Brooklyn veterinarian and a dog boutique owner. Earlier today, I spoke with them, and James Giuliani, the shop owner, told me about a particularly bad scene.
Her house got taken by the storm, and she had about 50 some odd cats in the house. And the girls that were there at the time corralled the cats up and put them in cages.
Okay.
They didn't know what to do with them. The cats were all sick. They were covered in debris, sewage, everything else, and they wanted to know if I can come and help them. So I drove to the site. I noticed that I was kind of overwhelmed. There was so many that I could not do this by myself. I needed help. So I called my buddy Sal Pernice from the Brooklyn Vet Group, and Sal was, Johnny on the spot. He said, come get me right now. We'll take care of it. I went and got Sal, brought him back down to Midland Avenue. They got to remember, it was, 3 days after the storm.
So we're still in the thick of it.
Yes, we're still in the thick of it. It was just a war zone.
Okay.
And now we're trying to figure out what we're going to do here. And it was, the cats were in a bad shape. They were all in bad shape.
Being that we were in Staten Island, and being that one of my colleagues had a hospital a few blocks from where this scene was, Dr. Arpino from the Boulevard Veterinary Group, he was kind enough to say, bring them in. We brought all the cats there, assessed them, and then made arrangements to keep the cats there temporarily until we could care for them, clean them up, and then bring them over to James's house, where he's fostering them up to now.
And what were the biggest health challenges? I know there were some respiratory.
Well, they were infested with fleas. They were infested with fleas. Other than being cold, wet, and having a few little signs of upper respiratory diseases, I understand that the home was pretty ravaged, and also, as you can imagine, a hoarder's home. The conditions aren't great, even if there weren't a storm. So the animals had some issues even prior, I'm sure. But the biggest thing were fleas, malnutrition. So we were able to treat them for their fleas, give them some baths, and then get them freshened up to bring over to James.
And James, I understand that at first there was a question of the pets actually couldn't be adopted. Once you've cared for them and taken and made them a little bit healthier, it's like, now what do you do with the pets? So you had tried foster care at first, but now they can be adopted?
Yes. The owner gave permission for that. Yes. I don't believe in fostering. That's not what I do personally. And Sal knows how I am. He knew that those cats were going to go to my house and stay until they had homes.
Okay.
So I want to build them up. I want them to be cats again.
Okay.
And it's a lot easier to put them into homes that way.
Okay, and we in the time that we have left, I want to definitely get some information out to our viewers, and I also want to meet a very special friend that you have here with us.
Of course.
Dr. Pernice, I wanted to ask you, in your practice, do you find that the information you could provide would really help? Because I think a lot of people don't include pets in their evacuation process, although FEMA and other state and federal aid has made it more possible in terms of financial aid.
Right, for post-storm, you mean?
Post-storm, yes.
Where they could go?
Where they can go and where they can
Well, I think, all of the people, unfortunately, that were affected, the first place to go is their local vet to see if they can house the animals and take care of them in the meantime. That's what we do at Brooklyn Veterinary Group. Most of our clients, and some that aren't our clients, but I think that's the most important thing, to have a good rapport with your veterinarian. This way, there is a good chance that can happen. Especially if the veterinarian has space. If it's limited, then not. Then through some of the rescue groups, you may be able to find a foster home until they get situated.
And James, you mentioned that you do house some pets as well, and she went back in.
Yes.
We don't want to rattle her too much,
No,
but
take her back out.
I think, please, I'd love to have our viewers meet her, and just to show your level of sensitivity. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know how attached you get to the animals, and you did mention that you never name an animal.
Never name it unless it's a choice.
Unless it's a choice, unless you choose to keep it. However, there may be special plans for this beautiful girl, and can you talk to us a little bit about that? A new facility, perhaps, Dr. Pernice?
Yes, we're in the process of opening up a new little annex to our animal hospital, and I was thinking that we may make this little lady our mascot.
I don't know if James is going to let her go, and there may be a little kitty Amber alert, because I may grab her up. She's beautiful. Tell us a little bit about her.
She's very cute.
Well, when we found her, we were worrying about a ride, but definitely a ride was lost before.
Before the storm.
Before the storm. But it's funny because all the pictures we took, it just ends up that he's holding her. In every picture, on every Facebook page, for some reason, Sal's holding her. So for some reason, I think Sal definitely deserves to have her.
Okay.
And you can see she's sweet. She's kneading on me right now. That means she's very relaxed. She's having a great time right now. And if you think of the hell that they went through, and to survive this, 7 feet of water, floating on anything they can, just to keep themselves, you know, above the water. It's amazing that what they went through, and that's what makes it just feel so good,
They're
because
so resilient.
yes,
They
and
really
they
are.
deserve to have a great home after what they've been through, don't you think?
And they do deserve a great home. For more information, Jim's Diamond Collar Dog Boutique is on Facebook, and Dr. Pernice's Brooklyn Veterinary Group is at www.brooklynvetgroup.com. Up next, a cardinal's mission to the Holy Land, the Supreme Court's review of religious liberty, and a 125-year anniversary right in Brooklyn, as Currents continues. The violence and turmoil roiling the Middle East provides the backdrop as an American cardinal's mission to the Holy Land gets underway today. Cardinal Edwin O'Brien, a former Bishop of New York and the Archbishop of Baltimore, is now Grand Master of the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, the papal order dedicated to promoting and defending Christianity in the Holy Land.
Since being named as the leader of the Order of the Holy Sepulchre, the Grand Master, about a year ago, I've remained here in Rome, looking over our organization, encouraging our various lieutenancies throughout the world. I've been to Poland, to Spain, and to Germany, and to the United States. But this will be my first pilgrimage to the Holy City, to show the concern of our Church and of the Holy See and of the Holy Father for the welfare, not only of Christians in the Holy Land, but for the welfare of all who are struggling under some very difficult circumstances. I think the timing of this trip, which dates back almost a year, is coincidental with the disruptions that have taken place over the last 10 days or 2 weeks. It should not have that great an effect, except to highlight the presence of Christians and the importance historically and in the present day of our concern and our solidarity with all the people of the Holy Land, most especially the Christians and of our Catholic faithful who've carried on our faith for 2,000 years, and we can't lose that. We have to make sure that they know that we know what they're going through and what they stand for, and be assured that we will support them in the days and years ahead.
More than 200 million Christians live under the threat of persecution, a number vastly larger than for any other faith, and the situation is growing worse. Well, that's the findings of a new book titled Christianophobia. The greatest dangers to Christians are posed by Muslims in the Middle East. Well, the threat to religious liberty in America is getting another review by order of the U.S. Supreme Court. Last summer, the High Court upheld Obamacare. Now, it is ordering a lower court to review an argument brought by Liberty University that the health law violates the school's religious freedom. Brooklyn's Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church stands in Williamsburg as a witness to history, 125 years of history. And now they are celebrating that glorious stretch of time with anniversary ceremonies, including one we attended with Auxiliary Bishop Frank Caggiano.
Our Lady of Mount Carmel is the model of a woman who in the interior of her heart was always at peace. For at the wedding feast of Cana, the last words we hear Our Lady utter in Scripture were these: "Do whatever He tells you." And Our Lady has asked the people of this great parish to do that for 125 years.
Our Lady of Mount Carmel shares many characteristics with other parishes. I mean, all of our parishes tend to be places that try to welcome, faithful to the Lord, do service, outreach. Here at Mount Carmel, though, what's unique is, first, its history, because it has been a parish of hospitality and welcome to many immigrants over the years. But now, in this particular moment, it really is well poised to be a parish of the new evangelization, to welcome all of these young families, many of whom have children, to welcome them into the faith, to invite them to come to know Jesus.
We've always been a parish that has just told people, come and be part of. It's a very adaptive parish, so a lot of different cultures have placed their mark here, and a lot of people have come and found a home. Brooklyn has changed over the years. This parish was initially for the immigrant Italian, and now we find that it's a welcoming place for the new people gentrifying the neighborhoods in Brooklyn.
There's been a new influx of people, immigrants, you could say, into our neighborhood. We try to get out there and invite everybody in to enjoy our parish, our feast, our church, our religion.
I've been a parishioner here since I was born. I was baptized here. I don't live in the area anymore, but like many people, we come back every Sunday. Mount Carmel is very much a home, very much a family, and even when you move away, you still come back every week. So I wouldn't miss this. My entire family is here, and even those who maybe don't live in Brooklyn anymore never miss here on Sunday.
Be willing to reach out to people who have been unchurched. Be willing to reach out to people who in many places feel unwelcome and let them know that here there is a welcome. Every parish is called to offer the diocese a place where the gospel is proclaimed. I think what's unique here is that our audience are the newcomers. Our audience are those who are looking for a place where they can feel at home, and Mount Carmel provides that.
In the footprint of this parish, from any angle where you look, there are high-rises going up that are going to be filled with many, many new families. So it contributes in so much to the whole diocese by reminding every parish, which is in their own respects unique, of what we all do together well, which is give thanks to what was, honor the Lord here in our lives, and look forward with hope.
And that is all for tonight. Be sure to join us on Tuesday as the Knights of Columbus shine in service to their neighbors in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. We'll bring you that story and much more. Until then, visit us online at currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faubles. Thank you for watching and have a good night. I'm Liz Faubles. Tonight on Currents, Christianity, Islam, and the Soul of the West. An author examines a provocative topic. And the Knights of Columbus feed the hungry here in Brooklyn. Those stories and the rest of the day's headlines tonight on Currents.